Hello everybody, it's Johnny yet again to talk with another brilliant artist about a project that we have the pleasure and the privilege of funding through our patrons scheme. And today I'm with the INKtrovert, Janet Kutin from Bristol. Jay, it's a wonderful privilege to have you here. Great to have you.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Cool. Well, can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, so I'm Jay, also Janet, the INKtrovert. I don't really mind what people call me. I'm a storyteller that started in illustration and kind of expanded into writing and animation. I'm currently based in Bristol, originally a Londoner. But yeah, I'm in Bristol now trying to make myself be known as a Bristol-based illustrator, storyteller. And I do that as a freelance slash sole trader as well as a few other things.
So how did you develop a love for illustration then?
I think growing up, I was always seen as the arty one. It started very young. I always used to get in trouble for scribbling all over my school books. I loved film from a very young age. I probably saw a lot of films that were a bit too old for me, but I was always interested in how the film got made and what they did beforehand. So I would always watch commentaries and just behind the scenes. And then I also wanted to just redraw those characters, whether it was an animation or a live action film. I wanted to redraw those characters in my own sort of, imagination.
Yeah.
So it actually started from film for some reason, but I also used to write a lot and I would write these stories about myself or about what was happening around me and I would just illustrate it. And it just kind of took off when I went to school.
What kind of films grabbed you as a kid growing up?
I really love this film called Red Eye. It's not a really well-known film, but it stars Cillian Murphy. And I don't know why I was obsessed with it as a kid. I probably wasn't that young. Maybe that came out when I was a bit older. But I just really enjoyed the action sequences. And like even going back even further, I think the first film I saw in the cinema was The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh yeah.
And I think that really did something in terms of made me realize that drawings can come alive. And I think since then I'd always been obsessed with just the imagination and what you can do with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, those were some important films growing up for me.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Well, you're an illustrator and you're an animator, but overall, you're more of a storyteller, really. What kind of stories do you look to tell through your work?
I think I really enjoy diving into reality, but with a hint of fantasy. And by that, I mean sort of realistic stories, but with a bit of weirdness creeping in. I've always liked that sort of like, these stories make sense and I can relate to them, but there's also like a space theme or some sort of weird alien or there's comedy in it somehow. And I think that's the way I kind of see my life. Like there's a lot of real things going on. There's a lot of hard things to deal with, but I also see a lot of comedy in my life. In terms of things that's going wrong. And I really like to tell stories like that and just my experiences of school. I've written short stories about my experience of hockey at school and how much I used to hate it, but I was on a team and stuff like that, that they just they kind of create their own sort of stories somehow. And I just kind of work on them and just add a bit more flavor to them. And I've really enjoyed just doing that really.
Yeah, they used to put me in the hockey team at school as well, and I equally did not enjoy it at all. Well, anyway, but back to more important matters. It's a great privilege to be able to help support your latest project. Can you tell us a little bit more about that project?
Yeah, so it's some sort of book anthology type thing that I started writing a couple of years ago. And I've not really been known as a writer, even though that's something I love to do. And I really felt that I needed to do a project where I can do a lot more writing and focus on that rather than just using my illustrations to grab people. So I thought it would be really cool to just write something that was really, really personal and just separate from what I normally show people. Because a lot of the time I would express certain things I've been going through illustration, but people will not really get it because you have to kind of dive into it more deeply to really understand it. And I really felt like I just wanted to be vulnerable. And that's quite a hard thing for me to do in terms of my artistry because I've not really done that before. So this is kind of just going to be a short sort of anthology that will be mostly poems and short stories with a few illustrations here and there, but just a real sort of honest, raw account of what was going on in my life a couple of years ago. And I've been really excited to do it, but it has been quite scary to just look back and see how I was feeling during that time. But it's also been quite nice to just to be able to separate myself from it and actually just kind of give it to the world.
Yeah, fantastic. And I've seen some little fragments of that work, and we're really looking forward to it. And really encourage anyone to check out Jay's work on her Instagram and other places online. I think you'll see what she means about the kind of quirkiness, the reality, the story, the hockey, the aliens. All of that is there, which I love. Well, it's an absolute pleasure to be able to chat to you, Jay. And thank you for listening and watching. And if you would like to help us to fund artists like Jay through our Patreon scheme, well, you know what? You are more than able to do that. All you need to do is give us some money. And we promise to channel it to artists just like Jay, or kind of like Jay anyway. So please join our Patreon scheme, all the details on our website. But for now, Jay, great to chat to you, and hopefully see you soon. Bye.
Bye.